SHANanigans by Shannon Ray Provost. Narrated by Shannon Ray Provost. This story is called SHAN Jobs. I have held many different types of jobs short-term from the ages of 16 to 36. The types of jobs that require a social security number, a photo ID, and that give you $100, then take back $99 of it for taxes. Jobs that had a hierarchy where I was serving as a servant status to some person on a power trip. We won't count the jobs that were grade school entrepreneurial attempts to make a few bucks for those airhead candies I seem to have a slight addiction to. But we can give them a quick mention. Selling organic mud pies made from natural mud and no preservatives, and holding Kool-Aid stands that were selling watered-down Kool-Aid to save on production costs were not legally on the books. My first real job was as a liaison at the Golden Arch, also known as McDonald's. I was a Jane of all trades, from working the grill, flipping those burger patties, and assembling the sandwiches on the food line, to taking orders on the headsets in the drive-thru and also working the counter in the front lobby. Shoot, I was also a mopologist due to keeping all the floors throughout the restaurant and restrooms clean and shiny. It felt good to be making some bling bling and to be getting paid to hang out with my friends, because most of my coworkers were my friends from high school. My favorite area to work was the drive-thru. The headsets we wore had two different channels. Channel 1 was for talking to the guests at the drive-thru pull-up order station, and Channel 2 was for talking to our other coworkers in the restaurant. We sometimes had close calls with remembering to switch from Channel 1 to Channel 2. Someone could pull up to the drive-thru and request to order their food and also hear the tail end of a different conversation myself and a friend coworker were having on the other channel that couldn't wait apparently. Here's an example. Me, welcome to McDonald's. What can I get for you today? Guest, hello, I would like a Big Mac meal with a Coke, please. Me, okay, your total is $6.90 at the first window, please. Me, oh my God, his dick was so small. Guest, excuse me? Me, see you at the first window. Other close calls were stealing cheeseburgers during slow times. In my opinion, the employee discount was not much of a discount from the low hourly rate I was making, and therefore I felt entitled to sneak a cheeseburger when I felt hungry during my shifts. I would jump on the food line and help make many burgers quickly during a rush hour time, and then sneak one in my apron. So much food was being made, no one would even notice. After the rush hour, I would head to the bathroom and devour my cheeseburger in privacy. Working 5 days a week at a fast food joint and eating unhealthy food often didn't faze me, because at that age, I had a fast metabolism. After the Golden Arch days, I had jobs as a server, a janitor, a nanny. I ran a personal training business, a dog walking business, and a DJ business. I was a caregiver, a FedEx driver, and I also worked in corporate America for a few years. Though my resume of a diverse job history had skills in many different fields, the job that brings me the funniest memories was the caretaker position. That opportunity was for a 13-year-old boy with autism, who we will call here Sam. He was adorable with his pale skin and tall, dangly, skinny body. He wore his pants up past his belly button like Steve Urkel, and it worked for him. I had no experience with special needs people. However, I was up for it. When I went to the interview to meet Sam and his parents, the parents gave me no heads up on what I might be walking into. When I arrived at their beautiful penthouse on the 10th floor, looking over Lake Shore Drive in Chicago, I was very surprised at how comfortable everyone seemed. Within 10 minutes of the three of us discussing the details of my potential job description and duties, Sam pulled out his penis and started to masturbate 2 feet away from us. No one talking skipped a beat, including Sam beating his meat. I kept my composure and internally was cracking up inside thinking, is anyone going to address what is currently happening, or are we supposed to pretend this is normal? I looked around for Ashton Kutcher and a camera crew to make sure I was not on the show Punk'd. The mother finally mentioned in between her sentences of a separate conversation that Sam was allowed to masturbate only in the room we were all sitting in and nowhere else. Oh, okay, I said, as I was still internally laughing and thinking, how is this my life? And why did we pick the masturbation room for this interview? I was hired the next day and ended up working for this family for a couple of years. Sam and I developed a really special bond, and we went on many adventures that sometimes turned semi-tragic on accident. Going to the beach or a movie theater or even riding public transportation was a risk I would be willing to take when I was on Sam's clock. He was predictably unpredictable. I could not take my eyes off of him for too long or allow him to stand too far from me because he was fast and usually ready to run. If he did get away, it was quite a task to get him back and not fun apologizing for all the madness and destruction that would follow the escape. Two particular instances stand out to me when I think of my adventures with Sam. One was at a movie theater in Lincoln Square in Chicago. I took him to see Spider-Man at noon, thinking the early show would be safer with fewer people in attendance. The two of us were all snuggled up in our seats in the very back row with our popcorn and soda on our laps, and the movie previews had just ended. The main show was about to start. I grew tired of holding my popcorn in my lap, so I looked away for 1 second and put my popcorn to the left side of my chair. When I looked back up to the right of me, Sam was gone. Shit. I saw him running in between each row of patrons and tossing everyone's food and drinks out of their hands. He then proceeded to run up to the very front of the movie screen and screamed at everyone. I almost caught up to him when he headed for the exit door of the movie theater to the main lobby where people purchased tickets and food. He went behind the food counter and started throwing things when I yelled, "Grab him! He is autistic! I am so sorry!" The food attendant was able to restrain Sam, and I held on to him tightly as I grabbed my cash the ticket attendant was holding out for me. The ticket attendant was also wearing a very pissed-off look, and I was aware, without them verbalizing it, that Sam and I were no longer allowed to return to this theater. Ever. We got back to the car, and I told Sam, "Wow, bud, you sure gave me a run for my money." The other instance was a day at the beach. It was a Chicago summer day, 85 degrees, with no clouds in sight. I had 8 hours to kill with Sam, so I decided to take him to the beach. After lathering him up with sunscreen and gathering all of our beach necessities, we headed down to Montrose Beach. I was holding his hand as we walked up to the beach and past the concession stand. I had forgotten that he didn't like kids shorter than him, and I was reminded when we saw a girl about a foot shorter and a few years younger. He saw her, reached out his long, skinny arm, and punched her right in the head. She started crying, and the assumed mother of the girl was about to punch me in the head. Sam started running, and I was attached to his hand, so I started running as well. I did, however, try and attempt to apologize as the two of us faded away towards Lake Michigan. And far from the mother and child, "I'm sorry, he's autistic," I said with a fading voice. We got near the water, and Sam had been plopped down in the sand on his butt and started digging. I thought I had a minute or so to set up the blanket I brought for us, but I should have known better. A man and a child were building a glorious sandcastle about 100 feet away from where we were setting up. I'm not talking about a puny, lame, beginner sandcastle. I am talking about a magnificent, award-winning sandcastle, if competitions were to be held. Sam got up and was running as fast as he could towards the beautiful work of sand art. I threw the blanket I was unfolding and ran as fast as I could to stop him from ruining two people's dreams this day. The looks of horror on the man and the child's faces when they saw they were not going to be able to stop this out-of-control boy wearing swim trunks pulled up to his nipples, running towards their hard day of work, were sad to witness. Sam was about a half of a foot away from bulldozing the shit out of that sand machine when I full-on tackled him from behind and saved the day. No one was hurt, the sandcastle was still intact, and Sam only had a face and mouth full of sand. Jobs have come and gone. Cheeseburgers and bathrooms aren't much of a thing in my life anymore. But I do, however, have a designated room in my house now for masturbation. Thanks, Sam!